Hey y'all, Coach Maury with Atomic Athlete. Let's talk about our new cycle, Sisyphus. Sisyphus is a 4-week strength endurance cycle specifically designed to push you past the point of failure repeatedly. If you don't know who Sisyphus is, he's this Greek dude that had to push this rock up this hill for eternity, and the rock kept rolling back on him, so he kept having to push it up the hill. And I can honestly tell you, that's gonna be you. It's gonna feel like an eternity when you're getting into this, but you are gonna be something different on the other side. You're gonna lift under fatigue, you're gonna rest less than you want to, and you're gonna do more work than seems reasonable. That being said, each week, the hill gets steeper, but so do you. You're just gonna get better, you're gonna adapt to the stress, and what seemed impossible in the first few weeks, you're gonna look back and they're gonna be laughable in those later weeks. Nothing in this cycle is random. Everything is pointed to one outcome, an athlete who can keep producing under load, under fatigue without falling apart. I can tell you right now, I've said this for years in the gym, I don't care what you can do when you feel good and feel fresh. I want to know what you can do under fatigue and under stress. If you only feel strong when you're fresh, you're not really strong. So strength endurance, what is it? So strength endurance is the ability to produce force repeatedly while tired without losing posture or output. Essentially what happens is we ask you to do a high volume of work and you get a high level of fatigue, you rest a little bit less than you want to, and we ask you to do it again and again and again. What happens is your body produces a decent amount of waste doing this work, and you don't want to do the work, and the body breaks down, and we just keep asking you to do it. And what happens is we train your body kind of deal with those waste products both mentally and physically. And what comes out on the other side of this is a version of you that you have never seen before. What this isn't, it's not maximal strength. We're not lifting heavy in this cycle, although we are doing some barbell work. It's also not cardio for the sake of cardio. Yes, you're going to be breathing heavy on these efforts, but we're not doing cardio, okay? And the last thing is there's no random beatdowns. Every single thing we're doing is queuing you up for the next effort. So think about it. We're lifting moderate loads over bigger volumes. So basically the load or intensity is not going, the load is not going up, but the intensity is going up through volume on this, and we're gonna do it over and over and over. The other big thing is it's gonna feel like an incomplete recovery. Typically we get several minutes of recovery so we get the most out of each set. What we specifically want with this is for you guys to be fatigued going into your next set and force that adaptation that way. Max strength is how hard you can push once. Strength endurance is how long you can keep pushing when quitting would be easier. So this is the bridge between being strong in the gym and being useful in the real world, which I think is just a great analogy for this. Let's talk about how this is structured. First off, this is a 5-day-a-week cycle. Sessions 1 and 3 are gonna alternate on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So for instance, the very first week, you're gonna do session 1 on Monday, and you're gonna do it again on Friday, slightly progressed. You're gonna do session 3 on Wednesday, and then that's gonna alternate the next week. So you're gonna do 3 on Monday and Friday, and you do session 1 on Wednesday. Session 2 and 4 are gonna alternate on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This allows the stress to rotate while fatigue accumulates. Session 1 is going to be push strength and lower body strength endurance. Session 2 is going to be pull plus cleans and intervals. Session 3 is going to be lower body strength but push strength and endurance and leg blasters, one of our hallmark exercises. And session 4 is going to be some hinging and power development with a little bit of work capacity. So we're rotating stress, we're not avoiding it. The big thing to think about with this is because we're focusing on one attribute on one day and we're not hitting that again for a day, you're going to be very sore and tired from that attribute, but what we're training on the following day, you'll be able to still train that at a high level. So it's really important to understand you can do this cycle 5 days a week. You just have to show up and do it. You're not going to feel great, but that's part of the design of the cycle. So let's talk about one of the anchor points of this cycle. It's going to be our Slayer squat and our Slayer bench press. So this is our primary barbell work we're doing this cycle. Slayer squats are something that my business partner Jake developed years ago, and they're just an amazing training tool. What it essentially is a 5-second descent and a 5-second pause in the bottom of the lift. Now, what I want you to think about with this is we are controlling our descent. So we're not doing like a 1, 2, 3. We're smoothly going down to a 5 count. When you get in the end bottom, we want you to be in the deepest range of motion while you can still maintain structural integrity. So what this is going to force you to do is get comfortable being extremely uncomfortable. The question I always get is, can I breathe in the bottom? Well, you better, motherfucker, otherwise you're gonna die, right? So you have to learn how you can still breathe while maintaining tension in the bottom of the lift. And then lastly, as we come out of the lift, we wanna build speed. So controlled descent, controlled falls, fast on the ascent. Range of motion matters more than weight on the bar. This is a big one on this. People like to shorten this. They like to do more isometric holds. That's not what we're gonna focus on the list. We wanna think about a nice deep range of motion. Next, what our lower body strength endurance complexes. So we've got 3 we're gonna focus on. The first two are gonna be Rhino and Mastodon. These are gonna be anchored with our Slayer bench press. So you're gonna do the loaded bench press, which is gonna be our upper body lift, and then you're gonna have your loaded lower body. The Rhino is a squat complex, the Mastodon is a lunge complex. What they do is they force posture coordination and leg drive under fatigue. And what we're doing with those is both with Rhino and Mastodon, you start loaded and then you finish unloaded. So you're finishing easier than you started. And they're just a challenging exercise. The big thing to focus on with these is consistency. So we want every single rep to be exactly the same. When you get fatigued, don't short your reps, you're only shorting yourself. And then the next one is gonna be leg blasters. Leg blasters are an anchor in this gym. This is something we got from Rob Shaw. He got it from Vermi and Betta. We did not make this up. Rob did not make this up. These things have been around forever. Leg blasters are one of the single greatest training tools we've ever used in this gym. They're completely body weight, and it's just amazing the output that you can get from somebody with them. So they're basically the opposite of the Mastodon or the Rhino, where you start static and then you finish with a dynamic, explosive movement, and they build through volume. So we basically call this an accumulation of fatigue through these. With all these, it is just hard work. I can tell you that both the sensation you feel while you're doing the work is terrible, but it's the soreness that you have afterward is unlike anything you've ever felt. But the thing is, as we increase volume, what's gonna feel incredibly hard on session 1, you're gonna look back after 3 to 4 weeks, and that's just gonna be a laughably easy amount of work. And that's how you know this is working. So the thing to think about it, if failure is right here, we're gonna take you past that point of failure, and then we're gonna move the point of failure. We're just gonna keep moving that goal line, and you're gonna keep chasing that goal line all the way through. Next thing we've got is specifically clean and press for the Harbinger prep. So the clean and presses for what we're thinking of is just a hip to overhead. So it's not a technical power clean. You can focus on that if you want to, and honestly, you really, really should. But if barbell doesn't work for you, do them with dumbbells. That is totally fine. So what we want to think about is just getting the barbell or the dumbbells from our knees to our shoulders and then over our head. Now, specifically, this is designed to train active rest because we're gonna prepare you guys for the Harbinger, which is many hip to overhead as you can get in 90 seconds. And ultimately, where a lot of people fail with this is they don't have the ability to rest with the barbell or dumbbells, so their grip fits fatigue. So how this is gonna work is you're gonna do a set amount of reps, you're gonna rest holding the barbell or dumbbells for 10 seconds, and then you're gonna do the next set amount of work, and then you're gonna rest holding the barbell or dumbbells, and then you're gonna do the last set of work, then you're gonna put them down and you're gonna rinse and repeat. Ultimately, you wanna work up to what the loads are we're gonna do for the Harbinger, or maybe a little bit heavier, but again, we're not going for maximal strength on this. We're going for consistent, strong reps and just kind of grease the groove, as Pavel likes to say, or just kind of set you guys up for what this movement looks like. But again, it's not technical Olympic lifting. It's just more power development, grip strength, and just, getting a barbell or weight from your hips over your head. Next thing we got are intervals. So with the intervals we're doing on these days, you can pick whatever you want to do. It can be a bike, it can be a rower, you can do shuttles, it doesn't matter. And there's going to be prescribed hard and prescribed easy effort. What you're looking for is for your hard efforts, you want to be very, very consistent with what hard is. Think about going out at about a 7 or an 8 and then trying to maintain that every single interval. Our easy intervals, we're going to keep going at that interval. And at the end of that prescribed time, you're going to take note of your total calories. And the goal is to keep burning calories or add more calories every single time you do it. So where our hard efforts are going to get a little bit longer and our rests are going to get a little bit shorter. This is both just, again, preparing you guys to train through hard work with more work with less rest, but it's also specifically getting you ready for the interval work of these loaded shuttle runs. You can do these with shuttles as well. You'll just do an easy jog for the easy effort. When it's the hard effort, you'll just go back and forth with shuttle runs. If you want to count reps for that, you'll count your shuttle runs. You won't count your easy efforts. Every hard interval should look the same. If it doesn't, you've paced it wrong. This is so important, I'm gonna say it again. Hard is not the hardest effort you can do in that interval. It's consistently hard. All those should look exactly the same. Eventually there will be drop off. That is by design, or that with fatigue that's going to happen. But you should be pushing, you're going to have to push a little bit harder each interval to maintain the number that you previously got. And that's really where the discipline of this component comes in. Typically people push so hard on their first one, all their later efforts drop off dramatically. And what we're trying to do is avoid that later drop off. Let's talk about the progression over these 4 weeks. So the volume is going to increase and the density is going to increase. The loads are slightly going to increase on the Slayer. So everything is going to increase in volume, meaning we're going to add more rounds of leg blasters. We're going to add more reps and rounds of Mastodon and Rhino. The only thing that we don't do that with is our Slayer. With our Slayer, we're actually going to drop the volume, but we're going to slightly increase the weight. So it's really going to force you to adapt to that uncomfortable position. Now, expectations. This cycle is uncomfortable on purpose. I can promise you that after the first week, it's probably the sorest you're ever going to be in a training cycle. But being sore does not mean you can't come back and train the next day. You're not supposed to feel fresh. You're supposed to feel fatigued. That is by design. We can always adjust weights. We can always drop weights. We can always change the movement. But come in and train. Keep pushing the work. You're supposed to feel capable when tired. That is the thing. That's the whole point of this entire cycle is, again, not to see what you can do when you're fresh, but to see what a badass you can be when you're fatigued. Guys, outside of that, if you got questions about this, let me know. I'm super excited about this cycle. I'm super excited about running this cycle through you guys. If you have any questions at all, email me, Todd at atomic-athlete.com. Outside of that, Sisyphus 4-week strength endurance cycle. Get the fuck after